In my notes, I put sometimes I spiral and I think that no one cares and what's the point? But when I push through discomfort and speak my truth, I feel empowered and I realize that I'm not alone. And that's so true. That's why I say to speak your truth and reach out from a place of kindness and love. Because if you do, you know that you're there for yourself and that you stood up for yourself and you can count on yourself. But if you don't and you hold back and you don't work on a relationship, then it makes you feel alone, like nobody cares. But in reality, you don't know what the other person is going through and their challenges. You may feel like they just don't care, but they got their own life and their own things going on. But when you speak your truth and don't hold it in, then you're able to feel free and empowered and let that go.
Welcome to Brick Breakers, the podcast where we break down the walls holding us back from becoming the strongest, happiest version of ourselves. Now let's start breaking those walls.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Brick Breakers. My name is Linda Mendez Adams, and today's episode is going to be seeing your worth through building relationship with others and yourself. The core message is God answers prayers even when it feels delayed. I'm here to speak about my experience, whether you believe in God, the universe, a higher power. I am just here to share my experience and not impose any beliefs on you. But man, what we're going to talk about today is wild. I have heard God speak to me these past couple weeks in 7 ways that I can't wait to share that was super eye-opening and wild. It was inspiring, uplifting, and it can't wait to share with you all. But this episode is going to talk about your worthiness, because you're worthy if you don't believe it or if you doubt it at times. How to put yourself out there, continue to put yourself out there, even if you have fears or doubts. How to create your dreams. How to build relationship with others and yourself if you're feeling alone or if you feel like your relationships are struggling, then listening to this episode will help you with that. God has spoken to me recently, and I cannot wait to share that experience, the connections, the like, whoa, there's no way, or like the wow, you answered. That feeling, you guys will hear about it. And I want to start by grounding this episode in worth because everything I'm about to share comes back to that. So let's take a moment wherever you are, whatever you're doing, whether you're driving or you're doing the dishes or you're on a walk. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. One more time. Breathe in, breathe out. Thank you so much for being here with me today. I am going to jump in by sharing what I have been up to. It is February 1st. I am already in my Valentine's vibes. I know that some people may feel like Valentine is commercialized or they feel like they don't have a relationship, so how can they celebrate Valentine's? And it's a moment of comparison where I wish I had my relationship already. I wish I was already with a partner and I can have my Valentine. But just know that if you're seeking a relationship with someone and you want to have that, it will come and it'll happen at its timing, and continue to put in the effort every single day to take closer steps to building that relationship or getting to that relationship. And remember, don't compare yourself to other people. You are on your own timeline. Don't feel like it's too late, you're too old, you're not able to have kids, whatever the reason might be. There's a plan for you. God has a plan for you. The universe has a plan for you. Don't worry. Everything is working for you, not against you. Okay? So, I'm excited. I've already celebrated Valentine's Day because I have an online presence and I want to share that with timing. Usually I do things in the last minute and something from, like, for example, Christmas, I won't be uploading until January. So I'm getting a head start because that's just my lifestyle. And also I couldn't wait. I wanted to use all my Valentine's stuff already as soon as February 1st started. Like, I'm already in my Valentine's Day shirt with my heart earrings, with my pink Awala cup, and I'm in the vibes. I love the holidays because it's a moment for me to reflect and be like, wow, we're starting a new chapter. We're on a new month. We're in a new timeline. Let me start seeing, what have I accomplished? Am I taking the steps that I need to reach my goals, or am I not? Am I seeing the transformation within these past couple days, or am I not? So I love the moment of reflection and that. Plus, I get bored of stuff. So I always want to redecorate my house. And it's a perfect excuse to have cutesy, adorable heart stuff all around my home. So that's why I love the commercialized holidays. I do not mind them. Okay, now the last thing I told you guys last podcast episode was about getting ready for my son's birthday. So my son just turned 1 in January 17. We are on February 1st. It was awesome. It was great. It fell on a Saturday. We celebrated his birthday on a Saturday, on his actual birthday. I had a lot of different people come, friends, family, relatives. One of the biggest dreams accomplished that happened was my half brothers and sister came with my nieces and nephews. My dad was previously married to someone before my mom. He had 7 kids with that person, and then when he married my mom, he had 3, and that includes me. So I didn't grow up with them. They're a lot older. They're like in their 40s, 50s. And what's funny is that my nieces and nephews are around my age, so I can relate a lot more to them and we get along. And I'm so thankful for that. You guys have no idea. Like, I love having my family. I am Hispanic. There's a lot of different tradition and cultures in a Hispanic household that I feel like is missing in my life. I mean, I married a white man, so his culture is way different than mine, and the traditions and the things that I love is so different. Like, I love Mexican food. I love the Hispanic games like Loteria and Conquian, and the I know it's bad, but like the gambling with the Loteria, it's kind of like bingo, and you like put little beans on the bingo slots, and then whoever wins that round gets like $1 or however much you bet. You put in $1 and everybody else puts in $1. So however many people are playing, like if you win that round, you get $10. Like if there's 10 people, you get $10. And Hispanic households are big, so a lot of people are playing at the same time. And it's just a lot of fun. So I'm very thankful that they were able to come because growing up, my dad used to take me to my half brother's and sister's house. I used to hang out with their kids. We used to play tag, hide and seek, go to the park, play soccer, play in the playground, and I'd go to their birthday parties. They'd always have like rent out little salons with their and have the kids' birthday, have candies, good food, piñatas, and I've always wanted that, but we could never afford it. My dad could never afford that, neither could my mom. And I've always had a dream of reuniting my family after my dad was deported and my mom passed away. And my son's birthday, that's when it happened. It's the closest thing that I can have gotten to my family coming back together in some way or form, and I am so so thankful. It was beautiful. It was so beautiful. I wish I could relive it again and make that moment even better and better because I was so stressed and I was all over the place. I really wish I could have spent more time talking with people, but it is what it is. I'm not going to dwell on it, and I'm going to do the best I can now with what I have now to continue to build those relationships. I've already called them, texted them, continue to stay connected. And that's something else I want to mention is that when you are building a relationship, it does take effort. And some people may not want to keep that relationship. And I'm so thankful to my half brothers and sisters for being open to have a relationship with me, even though they had a different experience from my dad and that I did. So it's beautiful that we all came to have come together, and it's a work in progress. The crazy part is that my dad's sister that was taking care of my dad in Mexico was actually able to come here. She had her birthday surprise with my half brothers and sisters, which they didn't invite me, but it's okay because I probably wouldn't have been able to make it since it's really far. It's like 3, 4 hours, and I'm always driving out there. But with a baby, it's a bit harder, and the travel it's a lot, and it's also money and food or if we rent out a place to stay. It can be a lot. So I understand. That's why I was so happy that the people that came made it out here, because I know the commute and the money on gas and everything that it takes. So it meant a lot to me. It meant a lot to me that they were here, because it showed me that they care and they wanted to be here. So it was a really beautiful thing. And when my aunt got here, I gave her the biggest hug. She was so kind and loving and took care of my dad and sacrificed everything that she was doing to be there for him because she loved him. And I am so, so thankful for that. And I held her, and it felt so surreal. Like my dad could have been here. She was here. And it was possible for my dad to also be here. And I know that my dad was here spiritually. He's not here physically, but I know he was there spiritually, and it was a dream come true for me. Even though I know that some relatives couldn't have been there because they're in a different state, or my family is still healing and I'm not talking to some of them, or we're not on talking terms, or one of my brothers has schizophrenia and is homeless or unhoused. I know that some people want to say unhoused, some people don't care, they say homeless. To me, it's the same. If I didn't have somewhere to stay, I would say I'm homeless, I'm unhoused. It's the same for me. So my brother, he's unhoused. He has a mental health issue. I invited him. He wasn't able to come out. My other brother, he lives in a different state. He wasn't able to come out. And there's just people that I still wish could have been here and made it, but they didn't, and that's okay. I will take what I got, and it was honestly such a huge blessing, and it filled my heart. Anytime I think about it, it makes me so happy and brings me so much joy. Okay, so now I want to talk about how it's taken effort out of me to continue to build relationships. One way that I've built my relationship with my cousins is I started a group chat. We split up a long time ago after everything that happened with my mom passing, my dad being deported, them moving to a different state or moving somewhere else, the issues that they had with each other or with their parents. No one's life is perfect, and there's always things that we don't know that are happening on their side. So I reached out to everyone. I was vulnerable about how I felt that they were much older and I was the youngest, and I felt like they weren't there for me during some of my hardest times, and they were understanding, and some of my uncles weren't. One of them told me that I deserved everything bad that happened to me and that God knows my heart, but he was saying it in a way like I wasn't being honest about how I felt, and that I called him and I thanked him. I didn't say anything else. I didn't bring anything else up that he did. I just said, I want to thank you for you doing your best that you could with what you knew and what you had at the time after my mom passed. And I kept a lot inside of me. I kept a lot. And if I ever get the chance to speak to him again, I will share the things that I felt and my experience. But I remained calm and thankful and appreciative and didn't say anything. And he just told me, well, everything that happened to you, you deserved it. Which a lot of bad things happened to me. And that was really mean to say. Pretty much like my mom passing, I deserve it. My dad being deported, I deserve it. My being abused, I deserve that. And yeah, so that was challenging to face during that time, but to see that my cousins are receptive, my one of my aunts was receptive and apologized to me. It felt good to know that my feelings mattered and what I went through mattered, and it was a difficult thing to do because it doesn't feel good to be rejected or to not be validated or to say that you're overreacting when you're opening up your heart and how you truly really feel. So it was a challenge, but I say that to say some people will put the effort to continue to work on a relationship with you or start a relationship with you and focus on that. Don't focus on the people that don't want to start that relationship with you or that aren't ready. They're in a different place, they're in a different headspace. They have their own traumas, their own issues that they're facing, that they're overcoming. There's a lot of things that come up for them when you speak your truth, whether it's jealousy because they're not able to, or it's um whatever it is, that everyone has their own things that they're facing. So just focus on the good things and don't focus on the bad things. And also remember to continue to be vulnerable, because if you don't share your truth and you hold back and you're not vulnerable, then you're showing yourself that you're not there for yourself and that you don't speak up. But here's the thing. Here's the important thing is when you share, make sure you share from an I statement, like I feel this way, I think this way. Don't blame others. Say that you're always doing this or this is who you are, because that creates defensiveness in them. So just say, I feel like I haven't been supported by you. I feel like you're not listening to me. Whatever you are feeling, because your feelings are real. Like, they can't say that those aren't real. If you accuse someone of something and say that, accuse them of doing something or being a certain way, that's you making up a story or saying that that's how they really feel or that's what they're really saying, when you don't really know. Ask them how they really feel or what they're really saying, instead of coming from an attack perspective. Also, when you share with others or ask something from others, do it out of love and kindness and grace. Don't do it out of hatred or anger or resentment. And come from a place of peace, where other people can have a safe, open space, instead of feeling like they are attacked and unsafe and they need to protect themselves. So always come from a place of love and kindness when you are building a relationship or seeking to build a relationship with someone. Even if they're not being receptive, continue to be peaceful, joyful, loving, caring. And I'm gonna get into something later on that has to do with the seven fruits of the spirit, and that's really how you have to come about in life. Like, I'll get into those seven fruits of the spirit, but I cannot wait to share them, because when you come at life from that place, you can do anything and know in your heart that you are doing everything in the best way that you can, without anger and hatred and resentment, and you're just coming out of love. And when you know you came from a place of love, you don't have any regret, any doubt, because you know your heart. Okay, so now we're going to move on to, oh, I wrote a note right here. So I have my tablet here, my computer, my laptop, my drink. I got a lot of stuff going on. But in my notes, I put, sometimes I spiral and I think that no one cares, and what's the point? But when I push through discomfort and speak my truth, I feel empowered and I realize that I'm not alone. And that's so true. That's why I say to speak your truth and reach out from a place of kindness and love. Because if you do, you know that you're there for yourself and that you stood up for yourself and you can count on yourself. But if you don't and you hold back and you don't work on a relationship, then it makes you feel alone, like nobody cares. But in reality, you don't know what the other person is going through and their challenges. You may feel like they just don't care, but they got their own life and their own things going on. But when you speak your truth and don't hold it in, then you're able to feel free and empowered and let that go. Okay, so now we're moving on to I already told you guys about coming from a place of kindness and holding space for others and not to focus too much on the people that don't want to have that relationship. So now we're going to move on to a different thing, which is how God has spoken to me in 7 different ways. And I'm going to start by saying, since I was 13, I have had a YouTube channel, and I've always been silly and fun and creative. I've always loved like doing skits and acting, and I uploaded a video that blew up about my hair, like hair failure video, and it almost got 1 million views, but I deleted it because it didn't align with me. There was a lot of hate on there over my hair, which I'm like, okay, you guys, you don't have to be mean, it's just hair. But I deleted it, and I was also going through a lot of things in my life, so I wasn't able to keep that momentum up and continue recording and editing videos. I was young, I didn't really know what I was doing. I was just putting things out there that made me happy. And some of the things that I was going through during that time, because I have been doing YouTube since I was 13, I'm not really doing it anymore. But at the time, my mom had passed. I had moved from California to Colorado. I had been in the foster system for a while they were trying to figure out my new guardian. I had, I was at the time abusing drugs and alcohol, and I didn't have the best friendships and the best role models. And my dad had already been deported by then. My brothers weren't doing the best either, so how could they really be there for me when they weren't doing really well themselves? So I had moved to like three different high schools, and then my aunt or step aunt had kicked me out from the home after 1 year. She said, "You got enough money. On your birthday, when I turned 15, you can move with your brother." My brother happened to have got in Section 8 because our mom passed and I was a minor. So we got Section 8, which if you don't know what Section 8 is, they pretty much cover a portion of your rent, and then that way your rent is cheaper. So you're not paying the entire rent. And my brother had left the Bay Area because we were living in the Central Valley. My brother left to the Bay Area, and because he wanted to make more money. In the Bay, you make more money. The Central Valley is a lot cheaper. What I mean by the Central Valley is like Fresno area, Bakersfield, Modesto, Visalia, Hanford. That's like Central Valley. And then under the Central Valley is LA, and above the Central Valley is the Bay, where there's like San Jose, East Palo Alto, Redwood City. So I moved from Colorado, came on a Greyhound bus all the way from Colorado to the Central Valley, moved in with my brothers, and my brother ended up leaving. I became head of household because one of my brothers has schizophrenia and has mental health issues, so he wasn't going to step up and become head of household, so I was. And at the time I was in college, I was doing I had financial aid because I was low income, and that's how I was paying part of the rent. And I also had a job and I was in school. So, and I was in an abusive relationship and also abusing alcohol and drugs. So that was my time. That was like what was going on during that time. So I stopped doing YouTube and I started focusing on school, and I was healing from a lot of different things and not in a really good place. So then I continued to keep creating. I had a passion for storytelling. I wanted to help others, let them know that they weren't alone and that they weren't the only ones facing hardships that they were going through and the feelings that they were going through. They weren't the only ones dealing with that. But at the time, I didn't know how to share my story, what I was going through. Anytime I shared anything, it was happy and joyful and positive. But I wanted to share my challenges. I just didn't know how. So, with everything I had going on, I kind of stopped posting, but I would post here and there. And then at the end of last year, 2025, in December, I had come across a person called June, and he has this class called Creator College, where he pretty much teaches you a lot of different things on how to be a creator and how to share your story and how to make things go viral. And I was like, you know what? I'm always making videos. I only get a couple likes here and there. I don't know how to share my story. I prayed about it to God, like, how do I share my story? How do I get through like my mental rut to get out there and continue posting, even when I'm not growing online, like I'm not getting the engagement that I would like, and I'm putting so much work and effort behind all of my videos. So I come across this creator and his class, and he has a free online live event, and I'm like, okay, well, I'll just go learn some things for free. His class is way too expensive for me. It was like $3,000, and I'm like, no, I would like to join, but that's way too expensive for me. So I just wanted to take the free live course that they had. And I got on there, and they said if you end up buying the course, that they will give you a refund, and they had it for half off, a different deal. So I guess they had two different packages, a more expensive one and a cheaper one, but the cheaper one was half off. So original price was like about 1,000, so it was like $500 for that one. So I was like, okay, that's more doable. I told my husband, hey, I like felt something in me that was like, I want to do this. Like, I just feel a calling to do this, to take this course. And my husband said, do you really want this for Christmas? And he said, that's kind of lame. And I was like, yes, I really want this for Christmas. I want to commit to my content creation journey, and I want to inspire people and share my story. And I love creating. Like, I'm such a creative person. I'm silly. I love acting and doing skits. Like, this is what I want to do. This brings me joy, and this fulfills me. So he said, okay. And they said, we'll give a refund to 5 out of 20 people who buy the course if you buy it now. And I was like, all right, like, let's do it. Let me buy this. It's half off, and I might get a refund. And he's like, okay, let's do it. This is gonna be your Christmas present. And I was like, all right. And I had a refund. I won. I won one of the raffles. I was one of the 5 people, and I got the course for free. And to me, that felt like a sign from God that this is where I'm meant to go. This is the path I'm meant to go down. And I had prayed about it, and I felt like he spoke to me through that. That's one of the ways that he talked to me, but I'm gonna get into the ways he talked to me later. That's just one of them. So I had one of my videos blow up, and from doing one of the templates that I learned in that class. And man, it has been a journey. It has been a journey, and I will get into that right now. But we're gonna take a quick break so I could drink some energy drink and restart my camera because it only records for 25 minutes. So quick pause. Okay, guys, I am back. So the video that blew up, I talked about my dad being deported, my mom passing, me abusing drugs and alcohol, the process of me attempting to get my dad here and being scammed by a lawyer, and then the transformation where my dad was feeling sick and we just took advantage of what we had. And I went to go visit him, and how he wasn't doing so well, and how I ended up praying with him the salvation prayer. He accepted God, and I know that I'm going to see him when I pass away in heaven, and that gave me so much peace. And I was able to get through that really difficult time. My dad passed away in September, so it's only been a couple months. September, October, November, December, January. So it's been 4 months since my dad passed, which is crazy. It's crazy to think about that. And I didn't realize I was going to be doing so well. I thought that I wasn't gonna isolate and not leave my room and be in tears and shambles, and I didn't know how I was going to take care of my son. But God gave me a lot of peace. He gave me a lot of peace, and I'm glad that my dad got to see my son and I got to see him again and that we spent time together. But I shared that story and it blew up. I got a lot of positive messages, a lot of uplifting messages that was really nice to see, that a lot of people could relate, and my video made them feel like they weren't alone and they weren't the only ones facing those hardships, whether it was recovering or overcoming abuse, or if they had a relative or someone special to them that had also been deported, or if it was them themselves who were deported. A lot of people could relate. But then there was also the ignorant comments, the hurtful, negative energy, and it was crazy to see because here I am sharing that both of my parents passed and that I pretty much fell down a rabbit hole of negativity and I wasn't doing well. And then people have the audacity to say, I don't care. I don't have any empathy for you. That's what your dad gets. Oh, tell your dad to come here legally next time. Like, I'm gonna go and tell a dead person to do that. Like, how rude is that? And things like, oh, and you thought it would be so smart to do drugs, and different comments like that. That it's like, okay, guys, like, how ignorant are you? Like, how can you say these things to someone who has gone through a really hard time and is going through a difficult time? Even if it wasn't me, that like, even if it wasn't my story, if it was someone else's story, how could you say that to somebody? And it's just crazy to see the hatred and negativity, and it makes me want to like isolate because and hate the world and be like, I can't trust anyone, and people are cruel and there's no hope. But I don't do that. I don't do that because I know that everybody comes from a different upbringing, and that people just want to do the best they can, and they have certain programmings and certain beliefs based off of how they were raised. People, in the last episode, I started the episode by saying, doesn't everyone want to see you succeed? Doesn't everyone want you to do well and win? And I didn't say that out of ignorance. And I know that there's lost souls out there that are purposely harming others. But here's the thing, I know that most people really want to help others. They want to make a difference. They want to do the right thing. They want the best for their own life. But it's difficult for them to do that because all of the trauma, the resentment, the feeling of abandonment, the self-hatred, the anger that they have inside, that it blocks that love that they can give others. They think that the only way to succeed in life is by taking advantage of others or by hurting others, because that's the way that they were raised, the way that they learn to get through life and difficult challenges. Some people want to bring others down so that they can feel how they're feeling, or so that they can feel that they're better than others. And in the end, we're all humans. We haven't all had the resources and tools to heal and become the best version of ourselves. And that's why I say, doesn't everybody want you to succeed? Because I know that the healed version of people, the best version of someone, wants you to succeed. Is everyone out there the best version of themselves? No, they're not. And I know that they've just had challenges in programming that has made them feel like there's no other way to succeed than bring people down. But I know that. And that's why I don't take things personally. And that's why I always go into the world with positivity and good energy, because I know most people are just doing their best and they just want to be loved and seen and be there for others. But we all have our own challenges and our own negativity that gets in our head. But when we get past that, what everyone else is doing, it doesn't matter. You don't compare yourself to them. You don't wish you were there. You don't try to bring them down so you can do better. Or you don't try to bring them down so you can look better. We all want each other to succeed. And that's why I say that. It's not out of me being gullible or ignorant, it's because I choose to have that mentality, excuse me, and that mindset. Instead of going into the world and being like, oh, this world is hopeless, this world's lost, everyone's so negative, everyone's out to get me, everyone's wants to tear me down and bring me down. No, I don't want to have that outlook on life. I'm not going to have that outlook on life, because then what kind of person is that going to make me? It's going to make me a bitter, negative person that feels like everyone's out to get me and that I can't trust anybody. And it's going to make me retreat and isolate and get sad and depressed, because what hope is there in humanity? Yeah, no, no thanks. I'm not gonna have that mentality. So I know that deep down, most people just want to do better. Hurt people speak from hurt. And that's why I don't take compliments personally. Even though I'm still a human and it still hurts me, I move on. I go through my emotions and then I move on. Okay, so I am going to go now into the 7 ways that God has talked to me. I'm not here to force religion on you. I'm just here to share my experience and how it's changed my life. I've recently been baptized. I got baptized a week after my dad passed, and I had been spiritually attacked and going through a lot of difficult things after I was baptized. I felt like I wasn't worthy of being baptized. I felt like I was going up there with a stained white dress, with a dress that had all these dirty marks and nasty dress, that I was not worthy of being up there. And that those weren't my thoughts. That wasn't me. And I know that that was a spiritual attack on me. And I refuse to continue believing that because I was doing so well. I was happy. I was showing up. I was speaking up. I felt a relief, a weight off my shoulders. And then right before I got baptized, I got all these negative things attached to me. I wasn't doing well mentally. I started isolating. I wasn't being myself. I wasn't speaking up. I wasn't that joyful, happy self. And it's crazy how quickly that shift, because even though my dad passed, I had all this hope and energy and joy. And within a couple days, it all went away. And I got all of these attacks and this negative thing attached to me. So when I was baptized, I felt like I wasn't deserving. I went up there and I cried because the pastor told me that you don't have to be perfect. I opened up to him about everything, and he says he's died on the cross for all of your sins, and he's forgiven you. And we don't deserve his forgiveness, but he's forgiven us. Anything we've ever done, it's erased. It's gone. It's like, get over it. God has already forgiven you. Stop dwelling on it. God already knew you were gonna do that. God already knows your future, your past, your present. He knows what you're gonna do, and he forgave you. That's why he died on the cross. He put his one and only son on the cross to die for us. Even though you see how much negativity there is out in the world, you see how many people are mean and cruel, and God died for that person. God died for you, for me, and that's why I don't know, I had a really hard time, honestly, being baptized, and it's crazy how my mentality completely shifted so fast in a negative way. And after I was baptized, it took me a really long time to try to feel like myself again. And I have still been working through that, and I'm slowly starting to feel like myself. But it was honestly really, really challenging. And I've been working on my relationship with God, because just like any other relationship, you need to work on it daily. Yeah, I have my doubts, I have my questions, but if you don't seek that relationship or learn about God, open the Bible, or have a community where you talk about God and have Bible study, then how do you expect to have that relationship with God if you don't even seek Him? And same with any other relationship in our life. How are we supposed to have a relationship with our friends, sisters, brothers, mom, dad, if we don't seek that relationship? Yeah, sometimes, like I started this, sometimes they're not receptive. But as long as you spoke up and you seeked it, then and you came from a place of love, then you already know that you're there for yourself. That's empowering. You know your worth. You know that whether they speak to you or not, that doesn't change your worthiness. And also, you know you're there for yourself. And that's what matters in the end. God is always open to a relationship with you. No matter how broken you are, no matter what you've done, He's always open to that relationship. So, if you want to continue to have a relationship with God or have a relationship with Him, then put in the effort and seek Him, because he will answer. You will hear Him. But like I said, if you're not religious, I'm not here to impose religion on you. If you believe in the universe or a higher power or whatever it is that you believe in, then that's what you believe in. Now, we're finally going to jump into the 7 ways. If you don't believe in God, you will still get some things out of this. So, oops, I just hit the microphone. Here we go. The first way that God has spoken to me is by the content creation class. I talked about that a little bit already. I had said, "Hey God, like I feel like I don't know how to share my story. I've been online for a long time. I've already told you guys this." So I got the class for free. I feel like he answered my prayers there. Like he was saying you're on the right path. Then my story blew up. That showed me that my story does matter, that he's going to speak through me, that I'm here to make a difference, that I do make a difference, that I have made a difference. I posted that and I've gotten so many messages and uplifting things that people are saying. But oh man, where do I want to share this? I'll just share it now. You know what's crazy? I didn't want to get online because of, okay, I have something I really want to share, but let me say this first. The third way that God talked to me is that someone accused me online of worshiping the devil. After my video blew up, I've gotten a lot of messages and a lot of comments. And this person said that, why do I celebrate Halloween? That's worshiping the devil, and that God doesn't want us to do that. I don't know. He was saying a lot of different things. And I responded with the seven fruits of the spirit. I told you guys earlier that I was going to tell you about this. The seven fruits of the spirit is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. And those are the places that I came from when I was talking to him. And I felt like he was being mean, rude, not understanding, judging me, and wanting to be right, in a place of defenses, being defensive and tearing me down. And he was quoting different scriptures, and one of them was saying to uplift a brother and sister in Christ through gentleness and guide him down the right path when they have steered off the right path, or like, steered into the wrong way. And I told him that I felt like he wasn't coming from a place of gentleness and love, and that as a sister in Christ, I didn't feel like he was wanting to uplift me, rather, he was seeking to be right. And I told him, God bless you. May he open your eyes to the way that you're being. And after that, he didn't respond, and I knew that I spoke from the seven fruits of the Spirit. I spoke from love and patience, kindness. I wasn't mean to him. I wasn't rude to him. I didn't say anything that was mean. I blessed him. And even though he made me feel bad, I still continue to be loving. So I saw that when we do come from the seven fruits of the Spirit, we have no regrets and we do the best we can, and God knows our hearts. And that's something else I told him. I told him that God knows my heart. But yeah, it just, I don't know. He was saying that my heart wasn't pure because I celebrate Halloween. But I witnessed the power of responding with grace. So after that, I told one of my friends about it, and she sent me scriptures and gave me peace about that interaction and how people have been ignorant and mean online. And that made me feel so much better. And there's actually something that she said. I'm gonna include here what I was gonna say earlier. After that incident, I felt like God had talked to me. So that was the third way that God talked to me and showed me, like, hey, lean on me and speak through, show up with the seven fruits of the Spirit, and you will not regret it. Like, living in that image of God made me realize that He is with me, and as long as I continue to be loving, peaceful, patient, kind, and all of that, then I'm good. I have nothing to worry about. But I didn't want to be online anymore because I had a lot of anxiety about messages and facing certain people like that, and feeling like I didn't have what it takes to handle the pressure or the negativity or the comments or whatever. I wanted to say the right thing, do the right thing, not hurt anyone. And I decided to go back online, continue answering my messages. And one of the messages said, "Thank you so much for sharing your story. It was really inspiring. Your story made me not commit suicide." And that's so hard to believe for me. Like, I cannot believe that my story was that impactful. And I almost didn't see that message, or I didn't open it for 3 days because I didn't want to be online after that incident with the guy and all the negativity. I was too focused on all of that when 95% of everything is so positive and so good. And I'm just in disbelief and awe that someone would feel that way. And I felt like God was speaking to me then too. He was saying, continue to push through, continue to do what you're doing, because you don't realize how you're impacting others. But here is a soul that says that's how powerful your message was. That's how impactful your story is. And that was so uplifting and beautiful because I was too caught up in all the negativity when I didn't realize that the reason why I'm even sharing and being online is to inspire others and let them know that they're not alone in their feelings. And to see that someone took the time to say that and that that's how they felt, it's crazy. I can't even believe it. Like I'm just in disbelief about it. Like there's no way. Like, is this a bot? Is this AI? Is this just someone pulling my leg or something? But someone said that and they really felt that way. And I just can't believe it. It's just so, like, wow. Like, thank you, God, for showing me and for that person feeling different about not wanting to be here anymore. So I told a friend about what I was facing, and she said, I want to pull up like word for word what she said in one of the messages that she sent me. She said a lot of things, but one of them was, you just gotta bring your 2 fish and 5 loaves of bread. He will multiply it to feed everyone. And I got off the chat to process everything that we had been talking about. And I saw that one of my dad's best friends had messaged me. He usually messages me, sends me random videos. I usually don't watch them because they're just really random. And I had exit off of, because I saw that he texted me, so I opened up the messenger chat and then I was like, no, I'm not gonna watch it because it's just random. So I got off and something told me, no, go back, watch the video. And usually I skip the videos. It's rare whenever I watch some of the videos that he sends me. And I was like, okay, I'll watch this video. And it's crazy because it was Daddy Yankee doing a sermon. And I don't know if you guys know who Daddy Yankee is, but he's like a rapper and he has turned to God, and a lot of his old music was very worldly. And I think he was also gonna be like at the Super Bowl, the halftime with what's his name? Bad Bunny, but he said no because he didn't want to sing Gasolina because it was very worldly. And anyway, so Daddy Yankee was doing a sermon, and he said in the sermon, he started it with the bread that everyone's looking for. When Jesus said these words, people were looking for him because of the physical bread. They followed him because he had multiplied the loaves and the fishes. They wanted what he gave, but not necessarily him. And I was like, what? Like, I my friend just happened to tell me to bring your 2 fish and 5 loaves. And as soon as I leave that chat, my dad's best friend messages me, and it happens to talk about how everyone is seeking for God's bread and what he gives and multiplies. Like he multiplied the loaves and the fish, but not necessarily him. And I was so confused. I was like, what? Like, what is God trying to tell me? But like, I know this is correlated because what are the odds that they both happen to send me the same message at this, like at around the same time? It was 10 minutes apart because I was texting my friend for a long time. And that was the last thing I read that she sent me. And then I go and I open that video, and that's the first thing I see that he shared in the video. That's the first thing I hear. So I thought about it and I was like, what does this mean? So what I got out of it is that God was telling me, I got you. I make things happen even when you think it's not possible. But continue to lean on me because of the miracles I create, not so much what I'm doing for you, like that is physical, because what I give you is eternal. So I see that God like is helping me share my story and save lives and inspire others and the growth that I've had online. But he's also telling me don't be focused on me multiplying the loaves of bread and the fishes. Be focused on what the true gift is that I give, which is eternal life. And that was just so like, telling me you're too focused on the results, the reaching people, the negative message, the superficial level of things. Not maybe not superficial, but like the worldly things. But at the end of the day, you're here to share the message of God through your life. You're here to give, for me, you're here so that I can give other people's the gift of eternal life. And that was like, I'm still processing that, honestly. Like, he's telling me, don't worry about anything else. Continue to live in my word. And what really truly matters at the end of the day is the gift of eternal life. Don't get caught up on all these little things in life and everything else. Like, don't get caught up in that, no matter what those little things are for you or what it was for me. So that was just very eye-opening. And then let's move on now to the fifth way. There are 7 ways, right? So the fifth way is I went to church and the sermon was about Isaiah and the coal. So Isaiah got a vision of God sitting on a throne with his robe filling up the entire palace. The robe train was filling up the entire palace. And I'm already at 25 minutes again, but hopefully it keeps recording. I'm just going to keep going. So the vision that he had was God sitting there, and then there was a seraphim, which is pretty much an angel with 6 wings. And the angel with 6 wings was covering its face with 2 of the wings and its feet with the other 2. And the seraphims do that out of respect towards God. So God tells the seraphim, put a coal on Isaiah's dirty lips. So the seraphim touches Isaiah's lips with this coal and cleanses his dirty lips. And that allows Isaiah to be able to be a messenger for God. And God asks, who can be a messenger for me? And Isaiah says, I'll be your messenger. And to me, what I understood from that message is that I am worthy to speak. God has died on the cross for all of my sins, no matter what dirty, negative things that aren't like God's word that comes out of my mouth. I'm still worthy enough to be a messenger for God and speak to people. I was telling God, I don't know how I'm going to share my message. I want to say the right thing. I don't want to say the wrong thing. I don't know how to navigate all of these people's different opinions and thoughts, whether they're good or bad. um I don't know how to share my message, and I don't know how to speak about you through my message, and I just don't even know if I'm the right person to do this. I have my own negative things, my own sins. How am I worthy enough to be a messenger for you, God? I don't feel like I'm worthy. And in that sermon, I heard God say, you are worthy. You are worthy because I already cleansed you of all your sins. Whether you're a messenger in your community or you're a messenger online and you reach millions of people, you are worthy. And you no matter where you are in your life, whether you reach one person in your community, like in your intermediate relationships, that is still worthy enough and good enough, comparing yourself to reaching others online, like through my video that blew up and it has been seen by thousands of people. So that was reassuring for me. Like, yes, I am worthy to share a message. Even if I am imperfect, I am worthy. Okay, so my SD card got full, so I had to stop recording. But the sixth way that God has spoken to me is through a Tony Robbins seminar. I had seen, if you don't know who Tony Robbins is, he's a motivational speaker, an author, business strategist, a dad, a philanthropist, and he has been doing coaching for 49 years. And he pretty much snaps you out of like this story that you make up in your head about what you are capable of, what you're not capable of, and he teaches you that through psychology, like tactics. And I came across his Time to Rise Summit, 2026 Time to Rise Summit that he had from Thursday, January like 30th, 29th to 31st. So it just ended yesterday. Yesterday was the 31st, or yeah. So I listened to it, and he does this every year. So if you guys are interested in joining it, every year he does 3 days for free, and then you can join some of the other things he does live in person or that you pay for online too. And I had prayed to God. I said, God, excuse me, it's that rock star. I was burping. Okay, I said, God, I feel like I am not impacting people's lives. I know that I am impacting people's lives, but I can't see it, so it's hard to believe that I'm making a difference. And God said, um, God answered, and He showed me how people are needing that difference in their life, and how sharing your story is inspiring. Because when I joined the Tony Robbins seminar, he has a Facebook group chat that people go on there and submit their homeworks, their videos of like the story that they've told themselves their whole life, and what their new story is, and what their old identity was, and what their new identity is. So like the story of, for example, like story of being a victim, or story of saying you need to rely on drugs to live life, or the story of you don't have any worth, or just all these negative stories, and then who they're choosing to be now and today, and shifting that mentality, like the story of God is there for me, or but if you don't believe in God, then the universe is there for me, or I'm there for me, and I make a difference, and I am worthy. Like changing that mentality that you have that isn't serving you to a mentality that is serving you. And after seeing all of those stories online of how people were struggling so much with their mental health, and just feeling like a victim, like the world is everything's happening to them, they aren't in control, they aren't in charge, they're not creating the life that they want, and doing what they can to be successful and reach their goals. It was so beautiful to see. It was so emotional, and it was impacting for me to see that, because it showed me by sharing our story, we do uplift each other. And I am not the only one that's struggling and going through hardship and having all these negative thoughts. Like, I know mentally that I'm not, but it's hard to believe when I don't see it, where I can't see someone else's life and what they're going through, and hear the things that they're saying in their head, the negativity that's happening in their head. So it makes me feel like I'm the only one, and that everyone else somehow has it figured out. And when I prayed to God at that, I couldn't imagine how He was going to show me that I need to share my story, and that He will change people's lives, and that I make a difference, and that there is people struggling, and that it, through me sharing, He will speak to them, or the universe will speak through them, because I'm not here to impose religion. If you don't believe in God, I'm not here to impose it. So whatever you believe. And after hearing all these stories of all these difficult things that people were going through, from like an illness to a death, to just, it was so inspiring to see how these people just persisted and have so much motivation, and how much you can accomplish if you really push through all that negativity and change your story and change your mindset. So God spoke to me. He showed me thousands and thousands of people's stories. And I was like, wow, I couldn't have even imagined how you were going to show me this, Lord. But you showed me. You showed me that my story makes a difference and that people are in pain and need to hear your story because you inspire. It's so beautiful to see. Even if it's not my story, just by you sharing your story, you make a difference. Even if you think that your story isn't that impactful, it really is. Okay, so then let's move on to the next thing. Um, the last way that God has spoken to me, my camera only has 4 minutes to record, so I'll make this quick. And also, I'm starting to worry about my son because he's sleeping, but he's been asleep for like 2 hours or more. And now I'm starting to worry and have a lot of anxiety. But Lord is with me. My son is okay. I will have enough time to finish this podcast. The last way that God has recently spoken to me is through my marriage and communicating. I felt unheard, really tense under stress. I had a conversation with a pastor and listening to Tony Robbins, he talked about relationships and he gave the SO method to feel your sensations, emotions, what you want and don't want, and communicate that in a relationship. I told my husband that I felt unheard and like he belittled my emotions. I felt like I would snap under stress and pressure, and I knew that that wasn't me, and I didn't want to continue doing that. I talked to his pastor about it, and the pastor called me a hypocrite because I said that I try to remain cool if there's a lot of people, but if there isn't a lot of people, then I give my husband an earful about whatever is going on that is stressing me out and how I feel like he's making it worse. But I know that he doesn't understand the full story, so I don't take that personally. But he told me to watch this video about how men and women communicate, and I didn't watch it, but in Tony Robbins' seminar he said that men usually want to fix things and women navigate through emotions and they want to feel things. So it was eye-opening to hear and see how the soul method was put into use, and I am going to use that method moving forward. And another thing that the pastor had told me is that living God's word daily matters more than having a public impact. So, living in God's word day to day is just as impactful as, for example, me sharing my story online. So, my big realizations is that if you think that God isn't answering you, He will. It's just on His timeline. And that I see and hear God. I see and hear God, and He will answer you in your timeline. So I want to end this by saying, when you look at, okay, now I'm starting to feel overwhelmed because, okay, center myself. So these are the things that these are the ways that God has spoken to me, and I want to end this podcast by saying, sometimes we see this beautiful tree that looks so appealing and we want to eat from its fruits, but when we get that fruit, it's rotten inside and we're putting in this poison into our bodies because the tree looks so appealing. But that's what we do with life. Sometimes we're attracted by things that don't serve us, that don't do us well, and we're filling our bodies with that negativity and that rottenness. So I would say go for the tree that fills you up with goodness and don't be tempted by the tree that doesn't. Thank you guys for being here and keep breaking those walls. I'll see you in the next one. I had just enough time. I feel like my camera's gonna turn off any minute. Bye.